What if effective time management isn't about planners, to-do lists, and productivity hacks? What if it's really about boundaries? In this episode, we'll explore how setting healthy boundaries with your time helps you regain control, reduce stress, and protect your mental and emotional energy. Do you want to achieve your goals, but anxiety is tripping you up? Like to keep those fun weekend plans, but depression has you counseling again? Hey, I'm Lori, dog mom, lover of nature, and hygge enthusiast. Positive psychology skills help me overcome chronic severe PTSD. If you're ready to learn how to overcome your anxiety and depression and rediscover happiness and purpose in life, then get your cozy on and let's get started. Let me take just a second to encourage you to become a Practical Solutions for PTSD Insider. You can do that by going to practicalsolutionsforptsdinsider.grwebsite.com. And you'll get things like our weekly newsletter. You'll get early heads up when workshops come out or when we start offering coaching. So again, you can go to practicalsolutionsforptsdinsider.grwebsite.com. The link is also in the comments below. Over the years, I have literally spent thousands of dollars on planners and all kinds of other productivity hacks, to-do lists, etc., trying to organize my time and figure out how to be better disciplined or self-regulated in that specific realm. And I literally wasted that money. 90% of it was a total waste, and the recycle community just loved me because I was constantly giving them new books to use. Somebody would mention a time management class and I would nearly break out in hives. I have attended them, and the ones I attended, they would give you the sheet of paper that had 15-minute time hacks, and you had to write down every 15 minutes what you actually did, as well as create a plan ahead of time, and then you had to do it afterwards. And then there's all these productivity charts, and it would just talking about it makes me anxious. Like my heart rate starts increasing. It was just so miserable. I absolutely hated it. And I was convinced I was a horrible time manager. In fact, I was talking to my counselor one time and said something to him about it. And I'm like, I am just terrible at time management. And he says, Lori, just stop for a minute and think about that. Are you really? Just because you don't do it in the quote traditional fashion does not mean you're bad at it. And so I started analyzing this. I talked to my best friend. She's like, Lori, you're actually not that bad. I'm going to make some things obviously you need to fix. Everybody does, but you're really not that bad. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, if the goal of time management is to be able to accomplish your task on time and to be able to get things accomplished in your day, I'm really not. I mean, my work projects are being submitted on time. If they are ever late, I was coordinating with my leaders, but typically speaking, I had them done on time. So I'm like, okay, what is it that I'm doing that actually works? And so I started reanalyzing it and taking a fresh look at what time management does. And that's what we're going to do today. This is not a traditional time management class by any stretch of the imagination, because I want you to think about this. What if time management isn't about planners, extensive to-do lists, setting your priorities, productivity hacks? What if it starts with boundaries? Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to-do lists, and you don't use planners, and you're figuring out your priorities. All those things are important, but I believe they start with boundaries. And if you can manage your boundaries and think, instead of thinking time management, you're thinking time boundaries, and how to structure that in a way that you're protecting the things that you value and making sure that you're spending the time that you need to accomplish the things that will further your dream, that supports your values, that get you to your end goal and to do so better. That's what it's all about, right? So we're going to unpack how boundaries and time management go hand in hand, and why you might feel constantly behind or overwhelmed, and what small shifts you can take to take back control of your schedule, your energy, and your peace of mind. So let's dig in. First of all, let's rethink time management. Most of us think of time management and doing more in less time. We look for productivity hacks, or we look for a planner that will help us to track those 15-minute time markers. Blech. Or apps that will help us squeeze in one more task in a limited amount of time, one more responsibility. But here's the truth. Time management is not about organization. I know, mind blowing. Time management is not about organization. It's about boundaries. Because no matter how efficient you become, if you keep saying yes to everything and everyone, you still run out of time. You can't organize your way out of overcommitment. You have to set limits. And that is where boundaries come in. So boundaries can help you decide what truly deserves your time. What is it that I really value? Where do I want to invest my time and my energy? And we talked about this a little bit on our previous episode. But what is it that you really want to achieve in life? What is the thing that's most important to you? How do you want to get there? That's what you want to focus your time on. What can wait? There's some things in your life that really aren't that critical. They could be put off. And what do you need to release altogether? There's some things you just need to let go of. Because I know there's a myth out there that you can have everything, but the truth of the matter is you can't. All of us have been given 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody has 24 hours a day. You can only do so much in that time. You need to prioritize it and make sure you're putting boundaries around your time so that you're getting out of that 24 hours what you really want. And trust me, as I'm saying this, I do not have this mastered. It's a work in progress, but I have learned a few things that I would like to be able to share with you today. So if you don't have boundaries in place, you end up becoming subject to other people's whims and desires, and your time becomes theirs instead of your own. So being able to protect that helps you to achieve your goals, your priorities, your calling by having boundaries and protections around that. So many of us struggle to say no, especially if you're an overachiever, if you're a people pleaser. It's a struggle to say no. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Every time you say yes, you give away time that's taken from something else, something that might actually be more important to you, or better for helping you reach your goals, better for your well-being, better for your relationships. When we overcommit, our time becomes fragmented. We rush from one thing to another, constantly trying to catch up, and eventually you burn out. And that isn't poor time management. It's actually poor boundary setting. This is a boundary issue. Boundaries are what protect your focus, your energy, your peace. They say, this is how far or how much I'm willing to give, this is how far I'm willing to go, and this is where I'm going to stop. And it's so important to have those in place, not only to protect your time today, but also to protect your time tomorrow. If you burn yourself out today, you're not going to be able to show up tomorrow. If you want to show up tomorrow and all the tomorrows in your future, you need to learn to set boundaries today. So how do you set boundaries around time? Let's make it very practical. Here's 3 areas to start setting boundaries around your time. Number 1 is calendar boundaries. So block out time for what truly matters to you. Now, I've seen this exercise many times. I'm assuming you have as well. But there's a video clip that you can see where a professor takes, for college students, he has large rocks, he has small pebbles, he has sand in a glass of water. He's like, okay, I want you to get all of this in the jar. And they start first with the sand and the water, and they can't get the pebbles and the large rocks in. And they try various iterations, but how they finally are able to do it is they first put the large rocks in, and then they follow with the pebbles, and then the sand, and then the water. And surprisingly, they're able to get everything in. But they start with what matters the most, what truly matters. So you need to sit down with your planner and draw out the things that are the most important, or just on a piece of paper. If planners give you allergic reactions, I understand. So maybe you just need to sit down with a piece of paper and write down what is your most important things. What are the things that you value the most? What are your highest priorities? What do you want absolutely cannot fail to get done or focus your time on? Those are the things you're going to want to block out in your calendar and treat them as sacred. Nothing infringes on this. This we must get done. So drawing calendar boundaries so that you can protect your rest, protect your relationships, protect your recovery, as well as being able to set time aside to achieve those goals and to fulfill those dreams. You also need to build in some white space in there where you can take, 5, 10, 15, 30-minute breaks where you can give yourself time to rest and to breathe in between. That actually will increase your productivity. They did a study a few years ago on this, and if you go past 90 minutes without a break of any kind, your productivity begins to drop exponentially. But if you take a break, the recommendation was at 60 minutes. But if you go to 90, it just means your break's going to have to be a little bit longer. But if you break every 60 to 90 minutes for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes and let your mind just relax for a minute, take a breath, get some fresh air, do a little bit of exercise, whatever that is, your productivity throughout the day, taking the whole day into account, actually goes up. So give yourself some time for breaks. It's very important. Number 2 is communication boundaries. Now, in this particular instance, we're not talking about verbal communication boundaries, although that is a thing, and we have talked about it. But we're talking about digital communication boundaries. So when you're checking your email, when you're checking your text messaging, your WhatsApp, your Telegram, or whatever other digital communication form that you use, when are you doing that? What kind of boundaries do you have around that? Do you know 50 years ago, we were not available 24/7. So trust me, the world will continue to revolve if someone cannot get a hold of you in the next 5 seconds. You can draw boundaries around your time when it comes to your communication. You do not have to be available all the time. So look at what's most important to you and when you can set boundaries around that. So work. I'm only going to answer work emails from, I'm going to answer them 9 to 10 in the morning. I'll check back around 1. I'll wrap up when I'm getting off work at 5. And that's it. Once 6 o'clock hits, I'm no longer available to my work communication, whether it be text or email. I'm not available. Or for maybe you're going on a hike and you just need to get away from everybody. You might want to take your phone with you in case you have an emergency, but you can put it on Do Not Disturb so nobody can reach you. And there's some time you can just get away from everything and just be able to immerse yourself in the moment. Immerse yourself in that walk in nature and being able to absorb it fully. So communication boundaries, where you're not available 24/7, but you have time frames where people can reach you and they know they can. And obviously you're going to have emergency protocols in place that would override some of that, but you can do that and still set boundaries on your communication. The third area you can set boundaries is emotional boundaries, because sometimes when you're talking about time boundaries, it's also going to require emotional ones. So when people ask you to do something and you feel that tension in your chest, that's a signal that you need to set an emotional boundary. And instead of saying yes immediately, try taking just a small step back and said, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Or, I'd love to help, but I just can't commit right now. These are things that can give you some space. And maybe you can go back later to both of the, say yes later, like, yes, I've thought about it, I can do this. Or I've been able to assess my calendar, and yes, I have space on it, and I can commit to this. But it gives you some space, and this is where boundaries are created and built. They give you time to reflect on it. And does this really fit within my goals and my priorities? Is this something I could really do? So boundaries can protect your mental health as well. So this is really interesting. When you set boundaries, your nervous system starts to calm down. Did you know that? Your body begins to recognize, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing at this time. I don't have to remain on alert after 6 p.m. because there's no more work emails. Or when I sit down to dinner with my family, I know that there's no cell phones at the table. They're not allowed. They're all banned. So I don't have to worry about answering text messages. I don't have to keep up with what's coming out on Facebook or Telegram or whatever. There's nothing. For an hour, I'm sitting down with my family and enjoying a meal with no disruptions. And your body begins to calm down because it knows what to expect. You're not constantly racing the clock. You're not in that fight or flight mode. I have to constantly be checking my to-do list or whatever, because that is your to-do list, is to sit down for an hour and enjoy dinner with the family. They reduce stress by giving you some structure. You know what to expect and when to expect it. You know when the clock hits a certain time, where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, which reduces your decision fatigue. You're not constantly having to say, what am I supposed to be doing now? What do I need to do, this or that? Or I'm not sure if I should prioritize this task over that task. What am I supposed to be doing right now? It reduces that decision fatigue so that you just do it because you've already planned it out. You've already set that boundary. You already know what to expect in that time frame. And they also reduce resentment that you may be having towards other people that are putting unnecessary demands on your time, which is making you unwilling to meet them. So it reduces that resentment that could potentially be building. And most importantly, is it's going to build self-respect. When you begin to understand that your time is just as valuable as the other person's time. We so often say, I want to honor your time. And that's a good thing to do. Don't get me wrong. It's like, I want to honor your time and do da da da. What about your time? Your time is just as valuable. What are you doing to honor your time? That shift will change everything. Your work, your relationships, and your emotional balance. When you begin to value your time as much as you value others' time, you'll see a big shift going on, and it will really help you. So there's some very practical ways and steps that you can take to put this into practice. So here's a simple reflection I want you to try this week. Sit down with a piece of paper and look at your week. What's filling your time? And no, I'm not talking about these 15-minute hacks. Please don't do that. I mean, if it's something that really helps you, that's fine. But that is absolutely not what I'm talking about. But you can sit down and say, what is it that's filling my time? Who am I giving the most precious resource I have is my time? Who am I giving it to? Is this moving me towards peace? Is this helping me to achieve my goals? Or is it pushing it further away? Is it disrupting my peace? Is it making it harder to achieve what I want to achieve in life? And then identify one small boundary you could set this week. Let me say that again. One small boundary. Don't try to do it all at once. It's just going to overwhelm you and be a whole nother source of stress. Just one small boundary. So maybe it's something like, I'm going to start not answering work emails after 6. Now, if you set that boundary, make sure you're communicating with the people at work so they know what to expect. So the people that the boundary is impacting, make sure you're communicating. But you can just set a small boundary. At 6 o'clock, no work emails. Or maybe it's when I sit down with lunch with my family, everybody's going to leave their cell phone away from the table. They are all banned. Here's another small boundary you can set. I'm going to take a real lunch break without multitasking. I do not have to eat lunch at my desk while I'm working. I can actually go away, sit at the table and enjoy my meal. Take a walk with the dog, which I did today. It was great, beautiful day today. But, set those small boundaries. Maybe block out a time when you're just going to rest and relax with your friend or your family. Spend some time for yourself on reflection. Whatever that may be, block out some time to do that. So just one small boundary that you're going to set this week. Don't try to overhaul your entire schedule. Start small. True boundaries, the ones that will be most effective and will help you in the long run, are the ones that are built slowly, a little bit over time. As I said earlier, this is not something I've mastered. I'm doing it just a little bit at a time. And these are things I have found that truly work, is when I make small changes. So remember, boundaries aren't about control or rigidity. They're actually about freedom. You're trying to free up time in your schedule to be able to achieve what you want to with your life. They free you from guilt, from constant pressure, from exhaustion. They create the space for you to do what truly matters, for you to be restful, to have joy, to experience creativity, to establish connections with people. When you start viewing your time as sacred, your life begins to feel more peaceful, more intentional, and more aligned. When I'm doing stuff that I have thought ahead, like this is what I really want to accomplish this time, and this is what I'm going to do to get myself there, I feel much more peaceful and intentional in that moment because I know I'm doing what I had planned to do. So take a moment to ask yourself this question: where do I need to draw a time boundary? Not to limit my life, but to protect it. How do I need to better protect my time? Because manage your time starts with managing your boundaries. Start there first. And remember, your time is valuable. So choose one small boundary that you're going to set this week that helps you better guard and protect it so that you can live more intentionally on purpose and to be able to reduce that stress and anxiety in your life. Another quick reminder to sign up for the newsletter where we tell stories and talk about interesting topics. It's at practicalsolutionsforptsdinsider.grwebsite.com. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you please take 30 seconds and share it with someone you know who may be struggling with depression and anxiety? Also, would you please leave a quick review for the show? Knowing how this podcast is helping you fills my heart with so much joy, and it motivates me for future episodes. For now, it's time for Sam and I to head outside to enjoy some sunshine and fresh air. We'll see you back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays for more great episodes.